Hey family, we are live, broadcasting live. This is the Conversation Room 101. Make sure it's only adults in the house. I need your mind to be open, prepared, and relaxed. Welcome to our home. Take your shoes off. We got some rules we need to go over. Be kind. No cursing in the chat. If you want to curse, call in. And no shouting out other channels. That's a no-no. We got one other rule. There is no judging our guests. It will not be permitted. Zero tolerance. And if so, you want to do that, guess what? We got security. And we will escort you out. Because over here, hashtag we don't care. We're going to be one big family. We're going to laugh together sometimes. We're going to cry. But we definitely going to pray. I thank the Lord above for everything. I lift him up and give him the glory. But you guys, right now, we're going to get our popcorn. And then we're going to see what's going on. And let me just park my car. And I'll be in there in a minute. I'll see you real soon.
The Copyright Disclaimer Act. The Copyright Disclaimer Act under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news, reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Like, share, subscribe.
Do you want to know? Well, I've been thinking about you, and I think I have to listen, because the sun is up, it's a beautiful day.
We won't stop. We will not stop.
Sun. Come, won't you come along? And it feels so right. It's like luck is raining on me. Go and follow your heart. Doesn't matter how far. There is so much love to give. Something's telling me this time. Baby, baby, now
See this? How you cannot go
baby,
here?
baby, gotta go. There is so much love to give. Something's telling me it's right.
Neighbors and the
When you
community
came to me,
compelled to
pouring
scour
you,
the area.
it's you, yeah, boy.
Where does the fault lie on you?
Hey family, come right on in. I know we early. We're 30 minutes early. You guys, I wanted to chit chat with you. I see Woke the God in the building, and I see Shirley in the building. And then there's somebody else here. I don't know who that is, but nevertheless, you guys. So I was sitting here, and you guys, what just came up was Violetta Wallace passed away today. Yeah, she passed away today. And I know you guys are saying, who is Violetta Wallace? That is Notorious Big's mother. And I don't know if you guys know, she died at the age of 72 on today. Natural causes. And yeah. She was a teacher. So she say, who? Notorious Big's mother passed away today. Yeah, she was a teacher and everything. And, you know, I know she, you know, when your child pass away before you, I couldn't tell you guys how that feel. Because, you know, I don't have a child that has passed away. But I know it have to be very disturbing to continue to live your life, and every blue moon, every now and then, you think about it. You know what I'm saying? You would, because, you know, I still think about my mom, and it hits me, and I start crying, or think about my brother or something. And I don't think about my youngest brother anymore, because that was like maybe 30 years ago. 30 years. But I think about my brother that died like 10 years ago, and I just start crying. Yeah, well, she is with her son now. Yeah. Well, we don't know what really happens, after life. We don't really know what happens. Anyway, we're going to talk about this case we've been looking at. Oh, yeah, it just popped up, too. Doggone it. Let me see if I can get it. It just popped up. And I don't know how it just popped up, but it just did. Yep, it sure did. And I pushed the button and it went away. But, so, I came on early because losing a child is very hard. I lost my daughter in 2004, and it still hurts. I believe you. I believe it. I believe it. And so I was reading some messages that was on the Naziah Harris case. Some people was like, I thought it was new information. This is clickbait. And girl, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't think nobody knows what they're talking about. I think everybody is looking at just the facts of what came out in the preliminary and what they have heard from these interviews. And if anybody got more information than that, okay, where are they at? Because if the family acting like they don't know and they ain't said nothing, how is anything else can be said that is new? You know what I'm saying? Not even new, but just a fact. It can't. There isn't. The father, he didn't know, or he say he didn't know what was going on. Marquita's baby's daddy, he didn't know. I mean, we're looking at stuff and we're just wondering, like, nobody knew. So anybody that be coming for me, don't come for me, because nobody knew. If they did know, they acting like they didn't know. But I can say this for the ones that hate what we're talking about, is the facts that's going out already in the when they have in court, is that's all we can go by. What is said, what the police came up with, and nobody else knows. Shannon ain't said nothing to nobody. Ain't nobody found anything extra special or anything. People are just like, I don't know. I think there's so many like angry people in the world. Like, they're not gonna say nothing to get awareness that this child is missing. But they want you to not say anything. It's like they run in and they hide and they don't say nothing, then they leave a message talking about, I thought it was new information. It's new to me. It's new to a lot of people that did not know that this little girl was missing. See, everybody thinks that just because they know it or they heard it or they had to hear it from somebody or something. Because the news is not really throwing it out there where it is viral. Because it's not. There's a lot of channels picking it up and speaking on it. That's what we do. That's what you're supposed to do. But then you have people that run around and then they're looking for you to share something, which you can't share anything but what you've heard and what you've seen come out the horse's mouth while being in court. And then they get mad and be like, this is not new information. It's new because we've never heard it before. There's some people that just don't run to every 50 million channels looking for something so that they can say they know it. Just because you think it, just like I might think something, it's called commentary. It's called content. Doesn't mean that it's true. So we go over what was said in court and what anybody else heard. And if we hear something new, we share anything. Now, with that being said, there's this new case we were talking about, and the young lady's name is Keli Bryant. And Keli has actually left her 3 kids at home alone in Detroit. And she didn't leave them home alone for a night out or a weekend or a week or a couple of days. She's been gone for years. They thinking that maybe 2020 to 2021, she has not been in the house with 3 kids, ages 15, 13, and 12 now. Well, she went to court. It was Thursday morning, and they gave her a $250 million bond. I did, let me see if we can share what was in this bond, because one of them was the sister-in-law. She spoke on the situation. So now we know that the young lady was married. We know that she was married. We didn't know that. She's not only married, we don't know where she's been, where she was going, how she was living her life. And they said that this young lady, they showed pictures of her on Facebook. She always had her hair done. She always had her nails done. She had new clothes on. And, she was always showing pictures of herself. So, her sister-in-law says she wasn't that broke. I'm going to see if we can... Oh, it says grab. It cannot. It will not grab it. Okay, let's see if it will. I know I tried to get it in there, but it would not go. So, we'll just see. We will just see. Hey, Lisa Calhoun, how you doing? Woke the God. Hey, Zena is in there. Shirley Stockdale. Okay. Yeah, we came on early. I wanted to see if we can pull up. I want you guys seen the picture of the young lady, Keli Bryant. And so her sister-in-law spoke. And I was surprised that her sister-in-law is Caucasian. See, these are things that once you learn some stuff, I don't know. We already had that. So, I don't know. Well, let's just look at it together. Here we go.
We all knew she was a bad parent, but I don't think nobody really realized this was going on.
Charlene Bryant is the former sister-in-law to 34-year-old Keli Bryant, now facing child abuse charges after investigators say they found 3 of her kids living alone in squalor for several years at this Pontiac townhouse on Lydia Lane. Charlene has not been in contact in years and has loads of questions now.
I just don't know how the family don't know when they were so close.
Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald charged Keli Bryant with 3 counts of child abuse in the first degree, which could mean life in prison if convicted. All of this after police say they found 3 of Bryant's 4 kids, a 15-year-old boy and his 2 sisters, ages 12 and 13, living in horrific conditions.
Her daughters were hiding in a bathroom that was filled with feces, piles of trash, and completely non-functional, while her son was hiding in another room. Police were astonished to find anyone in the location because it appeared to be uninhabitable, with piles of garbage and refuse several feet high, including large amounts of human excrement.
The prosecutor says Bryant lived at the home with all 4 kids back in 2019, but later moved out, leaving 3 of her children abandoned while one of the kids went to live with their dad. Detectives say the landlord called police to the home, worried for Bryant's welfare after not getting a rent payment since last October. That's when the kids were found, shaken, scared, and covered in feces, according to the prosecutor.
Honestly, I thought the grandmother was taking care of the children.
That's the last you heard?
Yeah, that's the last. You went 4 or 5 years without seeing your grandchildren. There was no questions.
We stopped by the Pontiac home of Bryant's extended family, where the police eventually took the kids. We wanted to talk to the adults. Hi, how are you?
No, sir. No comment.
Is there anything you'd like to say, sir? No comment given there. We also searched Bryant's Facebook page, which was easy to find and not set to private. Her content shows her modeling various outfits for the camera.
She's going to claim she couldn't afford to take care of her kids, but you got your hair done, you got your nails done, you got new clothes on all your pictures. Come on now.
What do you think should happen at this point?
She needs to go to prison and never see her kids again. Them kids need to go to someone that's going to take care of them.
Wow. That was the sister-in-law. Passion, you didn't miss anything. We was just going over the sister-in-law. That was the sister-in-law. They said former. So I guess she's not still married to her husband. So I'm taking that the sister-in-law being Caucasian, that these kids are mixed. And you seen where they showed that Keli was on Facebook. You know, she had a nice looking physique. I wanted to show y'all her court thing, and I thought I had it, but evidently it did not register.
Investigators say their mother had cut them off from the outside world, essentially. Will Jones is following this case tonight. He's live in Pontiac with the very latest. Will.
Ty, it is such a sad story. Police say those kids lived at that house here in Pontiac for years all by themselves. Police say their mother, Keli Bryant, left them there. Her son only left the house twice in the last several years to check the mailbox. The girls never left the home. Investigators say the mother told the kids not to leave the house.
What stands out the most for me is no love. There was nobody there to care for them.
No love. There was no love, you guys. There was no love. See, I looked to see if we had that video, and evidently it did not come through. It was very hard to see it anyway, but I wanted you guys to see her in court. Her attorney says that they had no problems, which, you know, the paper also said it also, that they got her in custody with no incident. Meaning that, you know, she didn't put up a fight, or she didn't run, or, you know, she just, wherever she was at, they found her with no problem. But the prosecutor, or, you know, they say she's transient, that she has no home, she's homeless, and they did not want to give her her bond. Well, I'll tell you what happened, because you would just see her picture, but they got her on Zoom, and so she's not physically in the courtroom, but she's on the camera, and the camera picture is so vague that, it could be anybody. They don't have a close-up of her. I seen one close-up of her. Her hair was probably maybe a half an inch long, some little tweeds on top of her head, and she didn't look as pretty as she looked when she was taking those pictures on Facebook. What is it, Diesel? What is it? So anyway, you guys, yeah, the sister-in-law literally said, and that's what we're going to talk about for a little bit. We're not going to stay on here long. The sister-in-law said that she honestly thought the grandmother was taking care of those kids. And she also said that nobody seen those kids. So she was going around telling lies. I just sent you the court hearing. Girl, yeah, but it takes time to record it. She said she found the court hearing. I can read to you guys what they're saying, because it's not the original, though. It's not the original court hearing, or I gotta give it time for it to update. I was so happy on court TV. I heard that mother cannot have no contact with these kids. She can't. She said, it says in here on Pontiac, an Oakland County District Court judge set the bail for $250 million bond, okay? And to live because of abandoning her 3 children. Keli Bryant was arraigned Thursday, okay? The office also indicated it intends to seek the ending of Bryant's parental rights to the children. So they're trying to take her rights away. So the judge also says she has no contact with her own 3 children, if she can even get bond. And she can't have contact with any other children that's under the age of 18, if she possibly posts bond, which she will probably not. Nobody's going to get her out. She don't have that kind of money. I doubt it. Brian, who appeared from the jail Zoom during the video arraignment, nodded her head. And the judge told Brian to have no contact with her children, 15-year-old boy, 13-year-old girl, and 12-year-old girl, saying she was concerned that Brian will instruct them not to cooperate. She says, I find her a continued danger to her children. I don't know who the children have been given to. That's what the judge says. Brian, who police said lived elsewhere, where her children lived alone, surrounded by trash and feces, was arrested Friday after a landlord called the police to do a welfare check because he hadn't heard from her and because she had not paid rent. So Gross told Bryant during the hearing not to try to communicate with their children through other people, and that her phone calls at the jail will be recorded and reviewed. She had the audacity to ask for a personal bond. Should she post a bond, she is not to have any contact with children by family members, third party agents, or friends. The judge said, so Miss Bryant, I want you to understand any phone calls from the jail are recorded. Should the court find out that you are sending messages of fear tactics and intimidation of the children, your own privileges will be removed. That's good. So then the judge that Bryant was not okay. So the prosecutor Sarah told the judge that Bryant was not employed and that her residency status was transit. That, and you guys know transit mean homeless. And so Green asked for a high cash bond with conditions and no contact. What I found very suspicious in the report service, there's 2 different addresses given to her. So I believe that one could apply, the judge said, and she's transit. She's from here. She's up there. We don't know where she resides. I do find her in acute risk. So Bryant's attorney, Cecilia, called the charges against Bryant a very serious offense, but argues her client should be released on a personal bond. They had no issues finding my client to arrest her. So I just want the record to be clear on that. I remember her saying that. So Bryant's next court date will be March the 4th for a probable cause conference. Bryant's children were found living in a biohazard. Michael said at a Tuesday press conference and survived on weekly drop-offs of prepared food. Some rooms in the house had garbage piled as high as 4 feet, and deputies found mold and human waste throughout the house. The 3 children in the case suffered unimaginable abuse, neglect over long periods of time. They're thankful they're now being rescued from that, and their first priority has been and will continue to be the safety and well-being of the children. So there's really no update on that. So yeah, it does not appear that any of the 3 children relatives knew how they were living. The kids' father was not in the children's lives because the mother, who had sole legal and physical custody of the kids, would not allow it, the sheriff said. The father requested a change in custody in March of 2022 after he was released from prison. According to a motion he filed in Oakland County Circuit Court, he wrote that he had not been around in years, but my kids need their sick father in their lives. There was a consent agreement, but the mother would not allow the father to see the children. In a separate case involving the 9-year-old boy, the mother wrote in an August 2022 custody motion that she had lived on Lydia Lane since October 2019. She wrote she was unemployed again and said she was the parent that had to sacrifice and take loss after loss, but was not more specific. She said it was the best interest of their son that his dad took him. She said it was only temporary and I'm not in a situation where I barely can provide for myself or my children. She says, I've practically raised my children alone with less than bare minimum from their father, the mother wrote. Brown said the 9-year-old boy's mother still saw her son and spent time with him, but they never spent time at the Lydia Lane home. They're talking about the other child that stays with the other father, but they never spent time at the Lydia Lane home. Brown said he didn't even realize that was still her house because she was staying at a different residence. Now they're asking, how did that happen? Big questions. All of us are asking, how in the heck did this happen? The community, the relatives, the school, a couple of neighbors. The kids' first school received a request for records from a second school, but never sought verification that the children was enrolled in the second school. Who didn't identify the school. Ultimately, they did not attend class at either school, the sheriff said. This case shows the need for legislature's reform of the school code that would ensure educators keep track of the kid. See, because I was trying to wonder, like, even if it's 5 years ago, so one of the kids will be 10, the oldest boy will be 10, and then the oldest girl will be 8, and the other one would have been 7. Okay? And they were saying that these children, I wouldn't just say the girls, they had problems trying to understand how to flush a stool, how to brush their teeth. So they say he believed the initial alleged abandonment was in spring of 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic may have played some part in the disconnect from the school. Okay, everybody blames that, but I mean, there was a real big disconnect. And I think we were talking about that. We were talking about, like, how, some kids wouldn't have lunch or breakfast now that they wasn't going to school. And then some people that had to go to court was behind. People wasn't, it just made everybody scared to even go out. That was the reality. No adult contact. They probably thought what was happening was normal. Yeah, they were scared to leave. The kids survived on weekly food drop-offs from the mother and from business like DoorDash. The mother did not leave toilet paper or hygiene items. Towards the end, the children were getting a loaf of bread that was intended to last for 3 to 4 days. They got photographs of the home, showed piles of debris inside. Police described the scene as deplorable shape, with garbage piled as 4 feet in some room. Everything was covered in feces and trash. The toilet had become non-functional and the bathtub was filled with feces. That's the kind of situation these poor kids had been living in for years. When police found them, the children were in soiled clothes. Their hair was matted. Their toenails was several inches long, making it hard for them to walk. Police said the children did not know how to use personal hygiene items or how to flush a toilet. They also said that the kids are already making amazing progress, you guys, having had some tender love and having had some supportive care. He praised the generosity of the community who donated dozens of bags of clothing and have donated $15,000 to $20,000 for the children. The sheriff said he is working to find an attorney to set up a trust fund for the children, but in the meantime, the sheriff's office is accepting monetary donations on their behalf on PayPal. Okay, so I just want you guys to know it's on PayPal. If you want to, Veronica Collins and her 17-year-old daughter, Daylin Collins, showed up to the sheriff's office Tuesday afternoon with 2 backpacks filled with school supplies. We just wanted to help, Collins said. We were going to shop for clothes, but they said they'd gotten enough clothes. So we switched gears and got them each a backpack filled with school supplies. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else on here. This is crazy. All three children expressed fear as to what their mother's response would be if they left home. The defendant concealed the children from family and friends and lied about who was caring for the kids and their whereabouts. The defendant took the active steps of lying and concealing to make sure the children went undiscovered, and she took these actions knowing that her children would suffer serious physical and emotional harm as a result. Yeah. Morally, there is plenty of responsibility to go around for how this was allowed to happen. However, these three kids were entrusted in care of their mother. What stands out the most for me is no love. There was nobody there to care for them for between 3 and 4 years. No parent, nobody physically present to let them know they were safe and they were loved. When asked about why Bryant may have left the children alone, McDonald says sometimes the why can never be known. I wanted to share something with you. She had the audacity, yeah. There was this mother that we talked about a couple of years ago. I can't remember the child's name, but the mother, she was an African American, and she left her child at home, and she went and lived with her boyfriend, which he was a Caucasian man. And I wanted to tell you guys, because we never did follow that through, but I seen an update on that. And I don't know if you guys remember, she had blonde hair. And we was like, she's really weird. Anyway, she ended up, and I'm just going to be honest with you guys. She ended up getting, let's see here.
All right, back on the record with the...
Okay, oh, here it is right here. Thank you, Woke to God. She ended up getting 18 months of time that she had to serve. And then they turned around and canceled 12 months. So she only had to serve 6 months. And I wanted to show y'all that, and it popped up, and I don't know what I was doing at the time, but y'all would have said, I remember, and then you would have been like, oh my goodness. So I'm going to tell you guys something. People don't follow these cases. And what normally happens is the female that you guys thinking that she's going to go to jail for a very long time and da-da-da-da-da and all this other stuff. No, it don't happen. So here's 8 minutes, and so let's see if we can listen to the arraignment.
Keli Bryant matter. For the record, Ms. Carrick, I know you've had an opportunity to go into a private confidential breakout room to confer with your client regarding the charges in this matter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
And are you waiving the reading of the general information and complaint this morning?
Yes, Your Honor, waive reading, stand mute, ask the judge not guilty on her behalf. I did advise her of the nature of the offenses, but maximum possible penalties, as well as gave her her basic constitutional rights.
All right, this matter is hereby assigned to Honorable Judge Cynthia Walker. She will be back.
I just don't even want to really even I'm glad she sent it to me, but
Kids were living in a real-life nightmare.
The charges are 3 counts of child abuse in the first degree.
The Oakland County prosecutor charges a mother in what she says is the worst neglect case she has ever seen.
And this is the mother right here. She's 34-year-old Keli Bryant, accused of abandoning her children for years.
And Bryant is expected to be arraigned in court tomorrow. Thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Ty Steele.
I'm Kimberly Gill. That comes after Oakland County prosecutor Karen McDonald revealed new information in the case. So let's get right out to Will Jones. He's live in Pontiac with more. Will.
Kimberly and Ty, Keli Bryant, I should say, is facing the most serious charge for child abuse, first-degree child abuse. We can learn more about this case in court tomorrow for the arraignment, but investigators say the kids who lived at that house lived in fear of their mother. They had been cut off from the outside world for years.
mm-hmm.
We say a lot, this is the worst I've ever seen. And I've stopped saying that because every time I say that, I see something worse.
Keli Bryant is facing child abuse charges, accused of leaving 3 of her kids to basically fend for themselves at a home in Pontiac.
Police were astonished to find anyone in the location because it appeared to be uninhabitable, with piles of garbage and refuse several feet high, including large amounts of human excrement.
At the home, police say they found a 15-year-old boy and 2 girls, ages 12 and 13.
At the hospital, the children struggled with completing basic hygiene tasks like flushing a toilet and brushing their teeth because they had not done it in years. The children were forensically interviewed and described having virtually no physical contact with their mother, suspect Bryant, or the outside world in several years.
Oakland County prosecutor Karen McDonald says Bryant moved out of the home around 2020 or 2021, leaving 3 children at the location. When the food supply ran low, McDonald says the son would text Bryant and food would be delivered. Police say they were called to the home on Valentine's Day for a welfare check because of missed rent payments.
Morally, there is plenty of responsibility to go around for how this was allowed to happen. However, these 3 kids were entrusted to the care of their mother, Keli Bryant, and the evidence suggests that she effectively abandoned them to a revolting pit of refuse and squalor. There must be consequences for those actions.
Wow.
McDonald says the 3 children are staying with family right now. Coming up at 6, we're going to learn more about what those kids experience inside.
And I wonder what
and how
family
they
member
are doing
has them.
tonight. We are live here in Pontiac. Will Jones, Local 4.
Okay, Will, thank you.
I wonder what family member has them. I just don't even know. Yeah, she got on nice clothes. Got her hair done. I told you guys that wig she had on was a good, nice looking wig. It wasn't nothing like, a cheap wig. It just wasn't. Unbelievable. I'm looking to see if
New at 5 charges expected soon in the case of a Pontiac mother who deputies say abandoned 3 kids for years at home. The sheriff saying they were living in filthy conditions, relying on weekly food drop-offs. Tonight, the community able to support those children, and today I reached out to their grandfather by phone. He says he's aware of the donations coming in, but he's not ready to say much more yet.
I have never in my 60 years of living heard of nobody not checking on nobody.
Talking with me outside the home on Lydia Lane, where children were recently discovered abandoned. A friend of their grandfather expressing outrage.
I just can't see it. I mean, it's just sad.
Deputies say the mother was arrested after a welfare check led to discovery of girls ages 12 and 13 and a boy age 15 left alone for several years. They say mold, human waste, and garbage was found throughout, and the sisters were found locked in a bathroom. Today I visited both the home and sheriff's office as deputies gathered donations of clothing for the kids who are now staying with family. Can you speak to the great need that these children have for assistance?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, having not been outside the house for literally at least since 2021, if not longer, there's a lot of things that they don't have.
Deputies say the children had not been to school in years and the girls were sleeping on pizza boxes. While unavailable for an interview today, their grandfather telling me by phone he was not aware of what horrible conditions the children were living in, and their father was also not notified. Both are now involved in helping them.
We're going to try to get them up to date, fresh and clean clothing, give them a sense of value and worth.
We've learned the kids were all taken to the hospital with signs of severe neglect, and their case is being reviewed by Child Protective Services. Among the questions, how something like this could happen, and why they were not found sooner.
You know, you got to check on them. You know, they can't fend for themselves. You know, you got to check on kids. It's heartbreaking.
Donations continue to be accepted on behalf of the kids, and we put all that information on our website, wxyz.com. As for the mother, she remains in custody, and I'm told charges could be coming as soon as tomorrow.
What a tough.
Well, the ladies that was talking was friends of the grandfather, and they were African American, older women. They looked like they were in their 60s or 70s. So, if you guys had to assume the children were probably with the maternal mother's side of the family, or the children are not mixed, because the young lady that we seen before was a sister-in-law, and she is Caucasian. So they ain't seen these kids in 5 years or more. I mean, what story could a person tell this? You know, like, if we live in the same town and I ain't seen my grandchild in 5 years, no, that is not going to happen. You know, I'm either going to talk to them or they're going to be telling me. Because, you know, only way a kid going to say something to you is they're going to have to trust you. You know? Aren't we supposed to protect the victims, not the people that commits the crime that's wrong? Exactly. Well, you know, just like on the Naziah case, a lot of people, you know, they'll say something. I really haven't heard nobody say anything negative about the little girl. You know, but people argue that people are saying negative stuff about the little girl. I don't know. I think they're in an argument with themselves. I haven't heard it. You know, that's like blaming the victim, you know? I mean, she is what they groomed her to be. You know what I'm saying? And when there's a child and nobody's really protecting the child, that child becomes who they groomed them to be. Just like this young lady, what she did, she left her 3 kids, and it's not the kid's fault. So you can't blame the kid that, you got to feed them, and they are, a big responsibility. Of course, kids are a big responsibility. But, people don't want to say, they'll say something mean about the mother, which is understandable. But it takes more than just a mom. You know? What happened to the grandparents? You know? I'm just saying, you guys. Because if you're not involved in your kids and your grandkids' life and you don't know what's going on with them, how are you going to help? You will be able to see that they need some help or they don't want to ask for help. Maybe you need to offer the help or just say, well, let me just go ahead and take the kids until you do this or do that. I do it all the time. And sometimes I don't even know how we going to make it work. But, you'll see Pooh Bear over here for days and weeks at a time. And it's just so that whatever they got to get right, they get back on their feet or, it's not a good setting. You know what I'm saying? So then what the guy says, where was the family members all the time? And I'm going to tell you guys something I heard. And I don't know if you guys heard it. So they were talking about the money. And I don't want to talk about the money because, these kids, when you take on 3 kids in your house, whoever has the kids, they're going to need money. Because these kids don't have nothing and they ain't had nothing in 5 years. Now you can't go back and buy them shoes, 4s and 5s and 6 up to where they are. You got to buy what they need right now. If they're wearing a size 7, then, but they can only wear so many size 7 shoes, maybe 3-4 pair of shoes or 10. It doesn't matter. I don't know. 20-30 outfits or something. They need it because they don't have it. Hygiene stuff to do their hair and get haircuts and cut their nails and stuff. Take baths. And then they're going to have to start doing things regularly that they did not know. They now know that their whole life has changed because they're probably somewhere warm. They ain't had a warm night. Now, they did say that the electric was on and I guess there was running water, but nothing was working well. Like this woman never did step foot back. I guess she just didn't want to see, how she was letting them kids, how she left them. I'm going to say this, you guys, and I don't know if you guys thought like I thought about this situation, but when the pandemic happened, I think this played a big role in how that mother felt like, okay, I'm not giving her no out way of looking at things, but I thought that some people was going to go in hiding and they just was going to just cut themselves from the world or, try to protect their kids in that way, like don't open the door for nobody, thinking that because when the pandemic came, people kind of thought, okay, there was people that was going to have some kind of disease and they were going to eat people and they was going to run into houses and they was going to hurt people and if you went around people you can be subjected to the disease and I'm telling you, some people thought they went into hiding. Some people did not come out their house for a year or two. This is just not the only case. And I'm not saying she thought that because had she thought it, like she could have thought it in the beginning and kept on going. Because she was on Facebook and she had new clothes on and she had new wigs and she had her nails done. So it's hard to think now, had she mentally thinking, and she still didn't have, a place to live herself. So they say she had 2 other residencies. But I'm not saying that maybe her thinking was something of that nature. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, you guys. we try to think like what these people think about. If you were living good, how come the if you were living good, how come the kids couldn't live good? Selfish. So sooner. It was selfish, you guys. But she looked like she really don't have it all upstairs. And her pictures, she looked normal. That's why I tell you guys all the time. You look on the outside and you think you can, tell what a person is thinking and feeling. And the whole entire time, you really just can't. You really can't. Anyway, yeah. Stuff like that. I don't get it. I don't get why this mother just left these kids. But I could see someone in like 2020, 2021 thinking that way. Thinking like, oh, I just wanted my kids to stay in and not be subjected to the, COVID. And I mean, you guys know how crazy it was. It was crazy. You couldn't even say the word COVID on the internet. That's how crazy it was. If you said the word, your channel was going to get dismantled. People ran in the stores, bought all the toilet paper. You couldn't toilet paper. People was trying to buy toilet paper over the internet and send it to the house and all this other stuff. It was a hot mess. And I'm not saying that this woman, I'm just saying like that could have started, to set it off. You know what I'm saying? And then she probably was like, well, I don't think she was like, let me just leave my kids. Could you go 1 year without seeing your 2 grandsons? No, I could not. But I'm just saying, though, like you try to get in the person's mind, like what would make her just get up one day and leave 3 kids in a house all by themselves? Was she tired of the kids? I mean, I know we don't know, you guys. Sit down, D. Sit down. Was she tired of the kids? Or was she want to just have her own life? I know we're going to have our own assumption. Or is it that she was just mentally disturbed about the pandemic and she thought, okay, well, I don't want my kids back in school. Because I'm telling you guys, like at the beginning of the pandemic, I think a lot of people, they really did not know what to think or what was going to happen. I don't think they knew what was going to happen. Yes, boo-boo. She said, Lisa says, all the above. So you see what I'm saying, though? Like, because this woman, like, we don't know the dates of when she was posting those pictures. Like, if she posted those pictures right after, she left the kids, because we don't know the exact dates or whatever. But, and I know everybody wants to say something about the pandemic. Like, oh yeah, it was the pandemic. It was the pandemic. Well, what could she have told these grandparents that they were okay without seeing or talking to their grandchildren? Well, she could have told them that the kids live with, or the father has custody of the kids. You know, like if I ask my kids, where's Billy? And then they'll say, oh, Billy's with his father, or they got the kids. I wouldn't go looking because I wouldn't think that they were lying. And so we don't get to see the kids no more or something. And then, my child would probably tell me, well, I lost custody of them and I can only see them every now and then, or I can't take them from the house. I get to go see them once a month, or once every 6 months or something. But I mean, that's a story that people can believe. That's something you can tell a grandparent, and they can't do nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you lost custody of the child or the father, one of the children stays with his father. So they're not gonna think, oh, she's just lying. They're not gonna think that. They're gonna think, okay, well, if that child's with his father and then the other kids is with their father. But remember, their father was in jail. You would still want to speak with them. Yeah, I would, but that doesn't mean I get to speak to them. Because here's the thing, like I've got a nephew that my brother passed away, and my nephew is in Texas. He's in Houston, and I haven't seen him since he was very, very young. I think he was like 10 years of age. But now, he's grown. The mother moved from here to Houston. He's around about I haven't seen him in 20, 30 years. He's about 30 right now. He's about 30 years of age. And I haven't seen him in 20 years. There's no way to get a hold of his mother. I don't know how. I mean, I've heard from him since then because of Facebook, and somebody reached out and said, oh, this one kid, his name is such and such, and he told me who his daddy was, and his daddy was passed away when he was young, and I believe that that's your nephew. And so I've spoken to him, but I have not seen him. So it happens. You guys, it happens. And yeah, you would want to speak with them, but that doesn't mean you get to, Lisa Calhoun says, I will buy that, but after a while, I'm going to find my babies. Hey, Danielle. I get it. I understand. Yeah, like, if you tried or you asked questions, or that person said they moved, or somebody else got custody of the kids, or they lost custody of the kids, you're gonna ask questions. And the one young lady said everybody knew she wasn't a good parent. So if she said, well, I gave the father the kids, or they got custody of the kids, there's nothing you can do. The courts is involved or something, and you would be like, like if you're involved, like I'm involved, like my kids or something, it's total different. It's different, you guys. Trust me, I'm telling you, it's different. Not everybody is involved like we are involved in our kids and our grandkids' life. Even if our kids are mad at us. Hey, Olivia, how you doing? Even if our kids are mad at us, we still, have a relationship with our grandkids. My daughter get mad at me. If I want to call my grandson, I'll call my grandson. The last time I called my grandson, it went straight to voicemail. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I didn't think nothing of it. I just kind of thought maybe his phone is off, or I don't know, or maybe, his mother took his phone or whatever. So after a week or two, I told his mom, I said, I tried to call grandson and it went straight to voicemail. And she said, yeah, I did something to his phone so that not any and everybody can call him. And I took out a lot of numbers that I don't want him to be calling, or them, And I guess my number was one of the numbers she blocked, so that, I just can't call him when I want. And I was kind of was like, oh, wow, really? I guess he had been making phone calls to people and calling whoever he want. So now she's got this lock on his phone that only certain numbers that he can call. I did not know this. This has been going on for a while. So, she said, well, let me tell him to call you right now. And he called me. And I was like, he was like, yeah, I called you, but you didn't answer. I called you about 2 weeks ago or something. I'm like, yeah, I didn't tell him. Well, call me more than that, but I was just telling you guys, time goes by so fast, and before you know it, you look up and it'd be a month or two and you ain't heard from that child. Like, I haven't seen Pooh Bear in a whole month. But I hear him when his dad calls me sometimes. His dad will call me and I hear Pooh Bear in the background talking about food and laughing or something. So I don't need to see him or talk to him because I can hear him. And I know his voice very well. I live an hour away from my son and my grandchildren. And I go see them 3-4 months, and in meantime we are on the phone. Exactly. Well, not everybody. You know what, you guys, I'm gonna tell you guys this. Sometimes you guys, and I'm just gonna be honest, you guys don't know how blessed you guys are. I mean, I know there's things to complain about and everything, but there's always somebody that's going through some stuff nowhere near what you're going through. Ain't seen their grandchild, don't know where they at, ain't heard of them, all kind of stuff. And then we have the smallest thing. Oh, they didn't come over for Christmas. And we boo-hoo and crying. They didn't come over for Christmas. Well, some people don't ever get to see their grandkid again because they're gone. Somebody done snatched them or unlived them, or you don't know where they at or whatever. Ain't seen them or heard from them or nothing. The kids doing bad. The kids can't come home. And I'm going to tell you guys something. And I say this and I tell you all the time. People get mad at me. But you know what? Even when I dated a man, I'm going to tell you what I tell him. I'm going to take care of mine. Now, you can get mad all you want, but I work so that, you know what? If my kids need something, I'm helping. I'm going to do that. Now, if you don't want to help yours, that's fine. But don't get mad at me because I'm going to help my kids. If they having a hard time, I'm going to help. And your kids is going to get mad at you because they're going to be thinking, Dad, y'all help her kids. It's going to be your fault. I dated this guy that had kids. And he wouldn't help this child get a job. I told him I'll help her get a job. I know some people that will give her a chance and give her a job. And she called me up. And she said, could you help me get a job? And I said, yes. I said, this is where you need to go. It's first thing in the morning. You call them, get yourself all dressed, go up there, present yourself as a young lady or whatever. You want to work? They'll give you a job. They gave her a job. And she called me and she said, thank you. Now, why he wouldn't help her? I want her to do it herself. You know what? This is the problem. Okay? You sit back and people tell you, oh, my kid did this on their own. Oh, my kid done that. You know what? 90% of the people, when the kids is in better situations and positions, the family already helped. If it wasn't already handed down to them, they were helping them. They went ahead and called Bob and said, Bob, do me a favor. Could you give Billy a job? But you're sitting there talking about, my kid got to do it himself. You know what? Somebody helped you. If somebody helped you, even if it ain't just getting a job, if somebody gave you information or told you where you need to go fill this paperwork out or gave you a chance or something, remember that, because you sit back and say you did it all on your own. But I'm going to tell you something. I would not be where I am had not somebody reached back and helped me. Now, they didn't hand me anything, but they did tell me, this is what you need to do. And it wasn't my mother. It wasn't my father. It wasn't none of my family member. It was a stranger. But if that stranger wouldn't have never been in my life and said, oh, this is what you can do, I wouldn't have known. So you didn't, just because now that you're 50, 60, whatever, you think you know everything. You didn't know everything when somebody reached out and helped you. So that's why if someone say something to me, I'd be like, I am offended, because you know what? I will help anybody that comes to me and say, oh, I don't know how to do this. Even if I don't like you, I would be like, okay, let's do this right here. Let's do this. I will have my guards up so you won't hurt me, because I know how people are. But I will try to help anybody that comes to me and asks for help. Now, I'm not finna just hand you my money and you keep making terrible decisions and mistakes, or you trying to buy your grown child a vehicle and you're not understanding, like, you don't have a vehicle, or you're trying to buy him a robe and you don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a necessity to me. So I'm not finna hand to you. I can't just hand you my money, you eat, and then you're gonna have to eat tomorrow too. See what I'm saying? So, I'd be like, okay, well, save your money. And I know how that is, to try to save money when you're in a bad situation. But, even if you save $1 or $2 today and $1 or $2 tomorrow and $1 and $2 the next day, and then you get a little bit and then you get a little bit, maybe sometimes you do have to stay out in your car or, sleep over to a friend's house or something. I couldn't do it because I don't, I can sleep in my car. I don't have kids that's going to come with me. I will sleep in my car if I have to. Have I ever slept in my car before? Yes, I have. Not saying that I was homeless, but I was in another state and didn't have no place to go and didn't have no money for no motel, and I slept in the car. Yes, I did. But I made sure my kids stayed where they needed to stay. I didn't want to go get my kids in the middle of the night, or they would be sleeping in the car with me. So I let them stay where they were at with their father. And in the morning, I went and picked my kids up, and I traveled all the way home. I drove until I made it home. 6-7 hours driving, crying and driving, crying and driving. I learned something. I will never leave town with no money. And people say they put you in a little trick bag. They say, oh, you can stay here. And the minute you don't give them what they want or do what they want you to do, yeah, well, get out. You can't say, make me get out. Well, you could. You ain't got to go. But who want to sit there and fight? You know what I'm saying? So you guys, I think this young lady, when she comes out and start talking about what happened, she's going to say it all started with the pandemic and she was fearful of her kids getting sick and ill and she didn't trust people. I believe that's what I think. That's my assumption of the whole situation because that's everybody's go-to excuse. I'm not saying that it was real. I'm just saying she's got a lot of time to think about what she done did. And that is the only conclusion she can say that even makes sense. Unless she is mentally disturbed. And if she's mentally disturbed, she's not getting them kids back. So she's not going to say that. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, you guys, I'm finna get off of here. I'll see you guys Monday, 3 p.m. Central Time. And we'll talk about it, you know. There's another case that's going on right now where the mother had the kids in the car and 2 of the kids froze to death. And Sugar Mama want us to talk about that. If we get more information on it or whatever, we'll bring it up Monday. But I really just don't want to go through a lot of cases of sadness. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is happening to this kid, and this is happening to this kid. You know, like, my whole prerogative is to not only have the awareness of what happened and why it happened, and is there other people that is going through things and not knowing how to deal with it or how to answer a question or where to take the kids or, you know, like, I mean, we try to talk because we know that there's people in this world that is lonely. There's young ladies in this world right now with kids that are lonely, that don't have no friends. The family ain't talking to them, mad at them because they done made some terrible decisions and mistakes, and they got all these kids, and they trying to make it, whether they prostituting or whatever. And because when I look at this girl, I'm like, you know, all together you got 4 kids, but you left 3 at home for years and years and years. So even if she left in 2020, she was already leaving them kids at home by themselves until, if that was the case, if it was like, you know, a selfish act. Oh, I'm gonna go stay with my man, or my man don't want my kids around, and that didn't work, or whatever. And she still, because she had enough money to pay for rent for 5 years, so she paid for rent, bought a little food because they didn't die, paid the bills, electric, gas, water. So why you couldn't go to the house and sit your tail down? Why was you somewhere else and the kids was at the house? And I'm going to tell you guys one other thing. And you keep this in your mind because I know it's true. It wasn't only DoorDash that was sending money. I mean, it wasn't just DoorDash that was bringing food to the house. They said sometimes a stranger that they did not know who this person was would drop off food at the house. So it wasn't just nobody knew that these kids was at this house. That's a lie from the pit of hell. I'm just telling y'all. So somebody else knew that these kids was at the house by themselves. Yeah, she probably did have Section 8. But what I'm saying is, why would she not go to a house that the rent is paid and the utilities is on? You see what I'm saying? That doesn't make sense. Why would you not go to the house where the rent is paid and the utilities is on. Why are you staying over here and over there and this and that and all that and the other? Somebody knew them kids was there. And that's all I got to say. Somebody, exactly, Mariah. Somebody knew that those kids were in that house. Huh. They had to. They said a stranger sometimes brought food and left it at the door. Taking the wheel. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never had welfare, and I don't have bragging rights, because trust and believe, I went and filed for it 2 times, and they told me that I make too much money, or my child support was too much money. Which child support, and I'm gonna just be honest with you, I didn't get over $400 a month in child support, but they said that was too much, and I was like, that's too much. I needed help. I was like, I was begging them people, can you just give me some food stamps or something? Like, let me pay the light bill or something or whatever with that, and then, but can you give us some food stamps? And they did. They gave me $500 or $600 worth of food stamps. It was emergency, because I told them, shoot, we got nothing to eat. And then you know what? And I'm be honest with you guys. I had like $400 a month coming in. That's it. And they gave me $400, $500, $600 food stamps. And I went and bought a whole bunch of food. We did not need food. That's what I'm telling you. It wasn't a stranger. It was Instacart and DoorDash. They said it was Instacart, but they said it was a person also. There was a stranger, they said. It was a person also that would come frequently. We'll see. Taking the wheel. We will see. But they also, you got to remember, they also said that there was going to be maybe more arrests. Okay? Keep that in mind, you guys. Keep that in mind. Alrighty. You guys, I'm finna get off of here. You guys be good. Be great. And be nice to each other. I like conversation. I love you guys. Y'all bring the information. Bring it on. Somebody's going to get something out of this. If one person know what to do when they're in some type of crisis like this, then that's good. Ain't that right, Diesel? Say it. Tell them bye-bye. You going to say bye-bye? Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. All right, you guys. Be good.